Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, where I'm going to inspire and motivate you to show up for yourself. So, this week I am loving a moment of clarity. All right, let me just kind of give you insight on what I mean. I shared last week how I recently had a Reiki session, and during that session, I had so many aha moments. And I just feel really clear right now on the direction that I'm moving in for my life and my business. I've been reflecting a lot and doing a lot of journaling to connect with myself, and it feels really, really, really good. Probably the best I've felt in a very long time. And so that is what I want to share. That what I'm loving this week is having more clarity, understanding the direction that I am going in, what's serving me well, what's not serving me, what I need to let go of and release and walk away from, what I need to add more of in my life. And I just think there's nothing like having clarity and knowing for sure how and what you want to be doing in your life. So that is what I'm loving this week. Now, this week's topic is, let's just call it a Q&A, and it comes from one of my members in the Be Free Inner Circle. I asked them, what question did you want me to answer? And one of the members, Valerie, said, how do you deal with rejection? And I'm like, oh, that's a good topic. I can totally talk about that. So, first, I'm going to share ways that I have been rejected, and then just give you some practical things like every week that you can kind of think about. So, make sure you have your notebooks and pen ready so you can take notes. And as always, don't forget to share this episode with a friend, especially if you are finding value in it. So, I remember before, when was this? It was a while ago when I first applied to grad school. I got rejected. I was not accepted into the university, and my heart was broken. This was probably in my mid 20s, I believe, but I was so hurt because I feel like that was the first time that I tried for something and didn't get it. Typically, when I go for something, I get it. Just facing that type of rejection, specifically from a college that I wanted to attend at the time, it really was heartbreaking for me. And so I remember just crying and crying because I just wanted to get in so bad. And I'm like, what am I going to do next now that I got, I didn't get accepted into university? And another thing that I was recently thinking about what happened as it relates to experiencing some sense of rejection, as I pitched to speak at this event here in Cleveland. Actually, it was in Kent, Ohio. And I did all the things someone recommended that I pitch. And I rarely ever pitch. So whenever I get asked to speak, it's because someone reached out to me. I don't pitch really at all, which I'm going to start doing. But I don't pitch. But this particular time I did. And I was declined. She said, based on the panel that they have for this year, at this time I would not be a good fit, something like that. Like, I was hurt. Like, wait, why didn't I get accepted? Right. But then afterwards, I'm like, okay, well, let's look at ways where you could have done better, or what could you have done differently, that kind of thing. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I remember the person who suggested that I apply and pitch myself. She followed up and she was like, oh, how did it go? And I'm like, oh, I didn't get accepted to be a speaker on this panel. And she's like, oh, it's okay. It'll be other ones coming up. And she was right. And that's basically, that's life, right? We are told all the time, like, how it never feels good when you're experiencing rejection. Of course, it hurts and it crushes your ego, but you have to get told no so many times so that you can get to your yes. And that is the space that I'm in now. So I think and those are just two instances that I can think of when it comes to rejection, but it didn't feel good. Definitely took a hit to my ego because I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you want me? But it's okay because there's some learning lessons and everything. And I did reach out to the person who didn't accept me and ask, well, what is some feedback that you can provide so that I can be ready for the following year? Or what were you looking for that my application didn't have? And she never followed up with me. So I'm like, okay, I did my part. But again, rejection never feels good, right? It's always going to make you feel some kind of way. This can be both in your career and in your personal life, right? As I was thinking about like this topic today, one way that I deal with rejection or not getting accepted or chosen or what have you, I'm the type of person that always looks for the brighter side of things. Like I can always, in most scenarios, see the good. And I believe in timing. And what's for me is for me. And I think that when things don't go the way that I want, or I get rejected, or I wasn't chosen, it has nothing to do with me as a person, and I don't have to take it personally, right? And so if you're someone that has been dealing with rejection and you can't quite shake it and you're like all in your feelings, let me just give you some things to think about on your personal growth journey. The first thing is, and I talked about this last week, and I think we can probably continue to say this every episode, to be in tune with your feelings. So when you get rejected or you're told no or you wasn't chosen for X, Y, and Z, and you feel some kind of way, take a moment and pause and acknowledge how you feel. Why do you feel the way that you feel, right? And know that whatever emotional feeling that you are experiencing is normal. So if you need to cry, do that. You know, honor how you feel and don't ignore your feelings, okay? Next is to silence your negative inner voice. Hashtag the inner critic. So it seems like when one thing happens, or let's just say you get rejected for something, then you can start doing that self sabotaging and that negative self talk, and all of the things will start to pile up. So you'll tell yourself, oh, this is why you failed grade school, or this is why you didn't get that other job, and this is why you're this or that. And it's like all of these negative things come up and they're not even necessary for the moment at all. And so don't allow that inner critic to bring you down or make you feel worse. What you have to do is that when you notice yourself having these negative thoughts, you have to shift them immediately and don't allow them to stick. Because what happens is that when you are experiencing a not so good moment, a painful moment, rejection, what have you, when that inner critic starts going, you're going to feel 1,000 times worse. So you have to be in tune with your thoughts and no, you can't avoid them, but you have to make sure that your thoughts don't spiral out of control. So don't allow one situation to be connected to another one, to be connected to the current one, and then it makes you feel oh so worse. Separate the experiences and deal with the problem at hand, and don't allow that negative inner voice to consume you and make you feel even worse. Be intentional about shifting those thoughts so that way they don't settle. So for me, when I notice like I'm getting into like some real kind of funky mood and I start having these thoughts of not feeling good enough, immediately, because of the self awareness, I check in and I say, no, we're not doing that today. And then I will start reciting an affirmation to get me out of it. Even recently, I've been going for walks more. When I notice that my energy is off, I'll go out and take a walk, and just so I can kind of release that, connect with nature, and let that be my process as I kind of work through it. Next is you want to release the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment that you feel from being rejected. Again, you did nothing wrong for someone to reject you. It happens to everyone. So it's not an isolated situation. Lots of people deal with rejection in many different ways. So you're not the only person in the world experiencing it. Everything isn't about you because everyone is having their own life experiences, right? And so we don't know what's going on in that other person's life that they decided to reject you for X, Y, and Z. And let's just think about like with me pitching for that particular conference, I didn't have what they were looking for, and that is totally okay. There's no way that I can control that. And so I had to, remind myself of that. Next is Practice gratitude, y'all. I feel like I say this weekly, but it's real. Like, be thankful and honor the things that you do have in your life. Be grateful for the things that are going really good and focus on that. That will help you with not beating up on yourself or feeling even worse when you can think about what are you grateful for. So 9 times out of 10, there's a reason that that experience happened, and you have to look within and figure out, okay, how am I going to handle this going forward, and how am I going to continually show up for myself and not get all of my feelings. So practice gratitude every single day and be grateful for that opportunity that you didn't get because it's going to get you closer to the opportunity that you do want. And if you have that kind of mindset, you'll get used to the rejection the more that you have it, and that you will be able to get past it sooner. Next, talk to someone that you trust so that you can express how you feel. You don't have, and I say this all the time, you don't have to keep everything bottled up inside. Share with someone, like I really feel bad about not getting this job or not getting accepted into this university or this guy declining my offer on Tinder. I don't know, however that works, right? Whatever. So you have a conversation and allow with someone that you trust and that you know is going to make space for you and encourage you on your journey. The rejection is not the end all be all, right? So this is just a small part of your world. Listen, when you think about this current situation that you're dealing with, this is not your whole life because your life is so much bigger than that. More than likely, months from now, a year from now, or what have you, this experience that you're having as it relates to rejection, the emotional feeling won't be as strong because you're doing the inner work to heal from it. Next, I want you to focus on what lessons can you learn from this experience so that way you can be intentional about how you move forward when you are in other situations or circumstances. So a few things that you can ask yourself: did I do my best? Could I have done anything differently? Did I fully show up as myself? And what did I learn? And what will I do differently? And when you look at that and you ask yourself those specific questions, it's going to help you as you show up for yourself moving forward. Okay. So think about what lessons can you learn from this particular experience. And then lastly, fill yourself up, pour into yourself, pull out your self care toolkit and really truly love on yourself. Okay. Speak kindly to yourself, love on yourself, and just get yourself back into a healthy emotional space. I created an amazing download called 101 Resources Every Woman Needs to Live Her Best Life. And I want to invite you to download it. And the link will be in the show notes. And there's tons of resources that will help you just in general as you're doing the work to live a life where you feel fulfilled, where you're flourishing, and where you're ultimately trying to get to that level of freedom that you desire. This particular resource guide will be amazing for that because there's tons of resources, again, over 101, that will help you on this journey. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends, your family, share it on social media, tag me at Be Free Project. And then if there's a topic that you want me to cover or you have a question that you want answered, shoot me an email, let me know, or reach out to me on Instagram at Be Free Project. We can talk about it and see if it's something that will be fitting for the upcoming episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, girl, be free.